What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Tech 1-2 podcast. I'm super excited because we're kicking off Cybersecurity Month, and I'm joined in the studio today with special guest Ryan Fox, cybersecurity analyst at EMPIST. So let's get started.
What's this? What's this? There's color everywhere. What's this? There's white things in the air. What's this? I can't believe my eyes. I must be dreaming. Wake up, Jack. This isn't fair. What's this? What's this? What's this? There's something very wrong. What's this? There's people singing songs. What's this? The streets are lined with little creatures laughing. Everybody seems so happy. Have I possibly gone daffy? What is this? What's this?
All right, well, it's great to have you in the studio today, Brian.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Man, this is the first time?
It is. First time, yep.
Wow, well, welcome to the studio. Very happy to have you. And we're talking about some important topics, specifically around something that you know a lot about, cybersecurity.
Yes, I do.
Man, so, just what's happening. We've been hearing a lot over the last week or so about a recent incident, an attack that happened against a very well-known casino. And, details are coming out now about what actually took place, and it's quite alarming and actually scary as well that, it can be that easy to get into an environment and cause so much damage to an organization.
Absolutely, and definitely also because of an industry that's known for security. They're known for being tight-knit, locked down, and an industry like that is pretty remarkable.
Wait a minute. How did this happen? We're smarter than this.
Yeah, so when you look at just the casino, and I mean some of the details that are coming out now, a social engineer attack. Social engineering was used to get a help desk to reset a password for an employee, and once that password was reset, it allowed the attackers to impersonate that user as a trusted employee. As a matter of fact, when they actually called to reset that password, they impersonated a trusted employee. But unfortunately, due to a process, maybe a lack of process or technology, that request was fulfilled, which inadvertently gave access to the attackers to then, from there, launch the attack. And we'll talk a little bit about the timeline. But these types of things with social engineering, they're happening every single day.
Absolutely, they are.
Yeah, and they come in the form of voice. It could be a call. It could be everybody knows phishing. We hear about phishing. Actually, 1 billion phishing emails sent every day.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And that's going to everybody. Anybody that's companies, that could be people individually. That's just everyone. It's in the industry all the time, everywhere.
Yeah, so, I mean, you're dealing with a lot of that stuff, too. I mean, being part of our security team here, you're seeing a lot of these things that are being sent to our clients, even to our people. I mean, would you say that the sophistication, for lack of a better way of saying it, of some of these phishing emails, is it getting better or worse?
Oh, it's definitely getting better. It's definitely getting better. Even over the past few years, you could see a lot of major differences in emails and kind of whether it's misspellings or things like that. They've definitely gotten a lot better and a lot more almost like scripted, where it's very kind of hard to actually tell, and you got to do more like in-depth analysis to actually figure out if these emails are legit or not.
So who's the real victim? You are.
What we know so far is what's being reported is on September 7th, attackers gained access to an account. September 10th, the attack actually was launched. And as of today, a couple weeks later, the attack is still, the recovery operations from this attack is still ongoing. And the casino and other subsidiaries and companies are not fully operating like they were prior to the attack from happening. So it's quite staggering. I mean, the impact to an organization, whether you're big or small, from an attack like this happening is, I mean, it's tremendous.
No, absolutely. And being we're going on over a week, almost going on 2 weeks now, and there are some parts of there that of their companies, whether it's their sites or not, that are still down. They still can't take reservations or do specific things, and that's very important for a company like that.
Mm-hmm. So we don't have all the details of exactly what took place and what the true timeline of events were, but when we talk about the right side of the boom was when the attack happened. That organization right now, it's got to be very, very stressful for them.
Oh yeah.
I mean, imagine being someone in IT or even business operations, C-level executives, from top down, bottom up. That entire organization is it's very stressful and very damaging to them.
I'm freaking out right now, man.
And a lot of people really have kind of nothing to do right now. They're kind of out of a job. They're kind of just waiting around because everything's on a hold. A lot of stuff's on a hold for them. And then the other half is like 24/7, like we got to get back up and running. So it's kind of a mixture there of what's going on in that organization.
So you have this the internal issues. Everybody's trying to get operations back up and running, but then you have the impact of the clients, your customers as well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that type of impact to that organization and to all their customers that were there vacationing, utilizing their facilities when this happened. Still up to today, they're not fully operational. I mean, what kind of impact do you see in just kind of the industry? Like when things like this happen, this isn't just an impact to the organization. Usually there's a domino effect within the supply chain as well. So what have you been seeing as far as some of these latest news?
Yeah, and there's many effects that come from this. And one of it could be like your reputational damage. So you might see customers that are going to go choose another casino now because they're going to pick a different resort than use MGM instead and things like that. And this will also might deter some other clients with working with them specifically. So not just the amount of money, for example, that they're losing every day because they're not in business, but also in the future, they could lose out on other business or other customers because of this reputational big damage that they had.
Well, because, I mean, one thing that has been released was there was also personal information that was taken from all these customers that was exfiltrated, and the attackers had access to this information. So, yes, certainly, as a consumer, that would be alarming, knowing that your information is now in the hands of bad actors and adversaries that are likely going to use it in the future for some other type of attack.
Mm-hmm. And not just that it's the attackers that actually took the day to have it, but there's also a very good chance that it'll be posted on for like the dark web or the deep web, where then anybody now has access to your personal data. Now it's out there for the taking for anybody.
Oh, the dark web.
I dabble in the dark web.
We know that technology isn't the solution to everything. It's a good process around protecting. So security, we understand it's multi-layered. We take a multi-layered approach to security. This isn't a single product that we're going to install or say that we have and it's going to protect us. There's the people and process side of it that oftentimes organizations just miss out on. They say, well, we installed this software. It's going to take care of us. We have nothing to worry about. But what processes around it? Don't you? I mean, what's your take on that?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's kind of having a good security program overall. You should be looking at your policies and procedures that have to go along with specific actions or specific things that can go wrong. Especially in this case here, where there was likely probably not a second factor of authentication for a password reset. There was no second step there to confirm that this user is who that user says they are, to actually confirm that. And that goes back to the policies and procedures. And if they're not, one, put in place, or if they're also not reviewed consistently, then things might get overlooked and things might get missed. And that's when situations like this come up.
Okay, so you brought up a couple of good points. So the process side of it. So someone needs to change their password. What could an organization potentially introduce before they actually move forward with something like that?
Yeah, so they can have some type of verification, whether it's a phone verification. If you get an account, if you get I need to reset my password from a user. Well, then you could have let's say a list of phone numbers, and you can trace to that user, or you give them a voice call, and they need to confirm over the phone to the person that number that you already have in your system. And once they confirm that, then you can go through with the reset.
Yeah, so having some sort of second verification, we oftentimes hear of multi-factor, two-factor authentication for logging into accounts, but just from a process perspective, let's take the technology piece out of it. Yes, we're logging into our email. We want to have a second factor of authentication. We don't just want to rely on that password. But case in point, I mean, the process dictates, could, warrant the need of a second factor of verifying that person's identity. Why do you need to verify a person's identity? Well, if someone's calling in, well, yes, you can use AI now. You can use deepfakes and impersonate someone's voice. So just because it sounds like me and I'm calling in doesn't necessarily mean it is me.
And that's not you?
That's not me, Michael.
At the very basic level is you get a call, someone's asking to change a password. Well, call them back on a known number, not the number that they're calling you from. Well, let me verify you. Okay, what number are you calling me from? 555-1212. And they're calling that same number. And if it is a malicious user or a bad actor, then they're just getting that person to verify that info. So yes, calling back on a known number.
Is this you blackmailing us?
No.
You also mentioned the training side of it and security awareness training. I mean, we wholeheartedly believe that training is such an important piece of the overall security posture because there's users involved. How important is that in what you're seeing across the clients in the industry?
It's very important because, as you kind of discussed earlier, our security infrastructure, the technologies don't always do everything. So, bad actors could get in by simply clicking a link, downloading a file. So, having that education and that awareness with your employees, even your non-technical employees, is very important because it builds it helps adds another layer in that as well. So now that your employees are also helping you look for things, and then also you need to actually make sure that you have a trust relationship with your employees and your security teams, so then they do actually report things. Because if they just go along their day and they just delete, they don't actually show you what's happening or actually alert you, or when they do something wrong, they don't actually tell you about it. That can be an issue too. Then you don't know what's going on.
Well, that's a huge issue, right? So. Yeah. I mean, but how would a company, what would you say to a business owner that is trying to really incorporate cybersecurity and have a good security posture? Something happens, a user does something. What would make a user feel like they're not going to be reprimanded or, get in trouble because they did something that they weren't supposed to do and they feel comfortable enough communicating it to, whoever's responsible for that within the organization?
Yeah. So like that type of thing would come from management. So if management needs to put in the trust, needs to communicate with their employees to say, hey, I've clicked the link before. I've let our employees know. Having that message come from management and saying it's okay to make these mistakes, but at the same time, we need to let the people who are going to take care of it to let them know that it's happening.
Yeah. So a blame-free zone, we call it a blame-free zone. I mean, we want everybody to be educated and equipped to understand, but at the same time, mistakes do happen. And early detection, when something does happen, is extremely important because time is of the essence. And if somebody did do something they weren't sure about, reporting is better off than something just kind of dwelling. We hear dwell time, the amount of time that an attacker's in an organization. So if it's not being detected or being reported, then it's just, free game for an attacker in a network.
It's not your fault. I know. It's not your fault.
I know.
No, you don't. It's not your fault.
I know.
It's not your fault.
All right.
It's not your fault. It's not your fault. Don't fuck with me. It's not your fault. Don't fuck with me, all right? Don't fuck with me, Sean. Not you. It's not your fault. It's not your fault.
Yeah, absolutely. And it can sit there for days, weeks, months, however long they want to sit there before, and before any other security infrastructure may trigger a warning or whatnot. So it could be, you could never know until something goes boom, like we've seen here with MGM, or if we get that notification earlier, hey, this didn't seem right. I went to this site and this didn't seem right, or I downloaded this file and it doesn't seem right. Letting your security team know that things that are going on is very important for that early detection, making sure you get your security team to analyze the things that are happening right away.
Yeah, and the average, the last report I saw was 206 days. I want to say that the average amount of dwell time. But in the incident, this recent incident, it was the 7th through I think the 10th. So we're just talking about a few days.
I mean, that's a lot of money. That's a long time.
The truth is that the users play such an important role in protecting an organization.
No, absolutely. They're the first line of defense. And the amount of alerts and traffic and things that your security team has to look through and the data that's coming in, there's a lot there. So your employees help to see those initial things, those first things, to let your security team know where to adjust its eyes and where to look for things.
Yeah. So we don't want organizations to just be naive to the fact that this is a real threat to all types of organizations, all organizations with a digital presence. We're talking about this one that's in the news because it's this billion-dollar organization that it's a very recognizable name. But the fact of the matter is this is happening to organizations every single day. This is just the one that's gone in the spotlight because it's very well known. But this is happening all the time. This is happening every single day. It's probably happening. It's happening right now somewhere in the world, and organizations really need to be alert, be aware, so that they have this awareness that they need to protect their organizations. And what happened to the casino can happen to their business as well, very, very easily.
Yes, they can, and that's a big thing that you see in that big multi-billion-dollar company that's focused around money. So they have the security, they have the infrastructure, they have all these fancy things, and they're getting hit. So definitely, if you're any type of business, you need to be aware that things like this are happening and that they can target anybody.
Yeah, awareness is key. So, I really appreciate having you in the studio today. Any closing remarks or anything you want to give to our audience?
No, I don't got anything.
That was cold.
All right. Well, listen, I mean, we talk about, people, process, and technology. When we talk about security, you need to consider all of these and have a multi-layered approach. We hope this organization can recover operations as quickly as possible because, being in these types of situations is very stressful. It's very impactful. And with more care and process, a lot of these things could be mitigated. It's very hard to eliminate the risk, but it's all about mitigation and reducing that risk. So thank you for being in the studio today, Brian. Really
Thank you very much
it.
for having me.
Yeah, can't wait to have more of these with you. Bringing a lot of great knowledge and intelligence, especially working on the front lines of security here. But really appreciate it, and we'll see you soon. Thank you.